Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this meeting of the Senate Committee on Education. Thank you for your patience as we celebrate it with a couple of Hall of Fame inductees, but we will get started now, and we will start with our roll, Madam Secretary.
Senator Buck? Here. Senator Cruz Crawford? Here. Senator Doniate? Here. Senator Dondero Loop? Here. Senator Rogish? Here. Senator Titus? Here. Chair Taylor?
Thank you very much, and I am present. Again, welcome everyone here in Carson City. I don't see anyone in Vegas, but if they come, we welcome you too. And if there's anyone on the phone line, I'm Senator Angie Taylor, and I have the honor of leading us through this meeting on today. On the agenda, we do have several items for a work session, and we will go through those first, and then we will have a bill hearing, and we will go in that order. I do want to do a couple of reminders, and that is please silence your electronic devices. If you choose to, if you want to testify or have public comment, which we'll do at the end of the meeting, please make sure you've signed in and leave your business card with our committee staff. We appreciate that. When you come forward, should you do so, make sure you turn on the microphone and speak slowly and clearly into the microphone, and always state your name whenever you speak. And the first time you speak, please make sure that you spell your last name so that we can get the record straight. Also, you will see that the committee, most of us have electronic devices, have our laptops open in front of us. Please do not take that as a sign of inattention or disrespect, but we also have exhibits and so on that we often refer to during the time. And I will also, something else I was going to say, I forgot what the heck it was. Oh, yeah, that's it. Thank you. That's what I'm going to do. Thank you. And also, as you may know, we just got off the floor, and so most of us grabbed a little bit of lunch and brought it with us. So please excuse us as we make sure we don't pass out up here at the same time. Okay, for our work session, just 1 minute recess. All right, thank you so much. As I checked in with people, we do have several members that have hearings, and so we're going to do the work session first, and we are going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the consent agenda. We will listen to our policy analysts. Some are amend, some would be amend and do pass if that is the pleasure of the committee. So we will begin, the 5 we will take on in a consent fashion is Assembly Bill 39, Assembly Bill 48, Assembly Bill 289, Assembly Bill 394, and Assembly Bill 501. For the committee members, as we do so, then you will have an opportunity on these to discuss or have comments on any of those 5 as we do it. So I'd like to take a motion in that vein, if I may.
Madam Chair, so moved.
Thank you so much. We have a motion on the floor to accept to go with the consent agenda from our vice chair, and the second from Senator Titus. And so I've asked our policy analysts, we all have the documents in front of us with amendments and so on that are stated. So I've asked our policy analysts to do just an abridged version of the bill, a couple of high notes on the amendments, and we would go through all 5 of them first, have comments, and then vote if that's in order. So Jen Stern-Gaynor, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Jen Sturm Gaynor, Committee Policy Analyst. As a reminder, as nonpartisan staff, we do not advocate for or against any measure. First bill up is Assembly Bill 39, which was heard on April 23rd. It revises provisions relating to state public charter school authority and charter schools. There were no amendments proposed for this measure. As such, the motion would be to do pass. Assembly Bill 48 was heard on April 30th. The bill authorizes a school district to reassign a student to another school in the district and other provisions. There were no amendments proposed for this measure. The motion would be to do pass. Assembly Bill 289 was presented by Assemblymember Nguyen on April 30th. The bill authorizes the Board of Regents to establish a course of study in financial literacy. There is a proposed amendment. As indicated, the bill sponsor had indicated that such a course, financial literacy, is offered at UNLV as a general education requirement. The content listed here is an amendment that reflects the content listed for the class in that course. So the motion there would be amend and do pass. Moving to Assembly Bill 394, which was heard on April 28th. The bill provides for the adoption of emergency response plans at NG institutions to address opioid-related drug overdoses. The bill's sponsor proposed an amendment to add Senators Titus, Buck, and Rogish as co-sponsors to the bill. The motion would be to amend and do pass. And the final bill on work session, or the final consent agenda, bill is Assembly Bill 501, which was heard on April 25th. The bill authorizes the Board of Trustees of a school district or governing body of a charter school to award elective course credit to certain pupils who complete approved outdoor recreational activities outside of school hours. There were no proposed amendments for this measure. The motion would be to do pass. Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Ms. Sturm Gaynor. I will see if from the committee, any questions or discussion on either of those 5 bills. Senator Buck?
Thank you, Chair Taylor. I just wanted to mention that Assembly Bill 501, I really love that bill, especially because it's you're able to receive academic credit for completing certain outdoor recreation activities. It was a great idea. The original concept was in the Lieutenant Governor's bill in AB 53. And so I love that bill and so grateful to the Lieutenant Governor and the Speaker and the Majority Leader for making this happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Buck. Any other notes of discussion or questions on those 5 bills? Again, we're looking for consent, if that is the pleasure of the committee, for Assembly Bill 39, Assembly Bill 48, Assembly Bill 289, Assembly Bill 394, and Assembly Bill 501. I will entertain the motion at this time.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. There is a motion to accept these items as a consent agenda. Some amend, some in due pass. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Titus. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? The motion carries. Let the record show it is unanimous. And now we will we'll consider individually Assembly Bill 391, and we will go. I'm sorry. Oh yeah, floor assignment. Good. I'll come back and do those. Let's get our votes in, because I know people have to leave, so let's do that first. But thank you for that reminder. So we will now consider Assembly Bill 391 individually, and I'll again pass it on to our analyst, Ms. Sturm Gaynor.
Thank you, Chair Taylor. Jen Sturm Gaynor, Committee Policy Analyst. The final bill on work session today is Assembly Bill 391, which was heard on April 28th. The bill revises accountability reporting requirements to include data on pupil achievement for students who are absent for more than 10 school days prior to the first administration of certain exams. There were 2 proposed amendments by the bill sponsor. One is to require the separate reporting before the date in which the school district administers examinations rather than before the administration period as prescribed by the state board. And 2, to clarify that such an absence is defined by local school district and charter school governing bodies. Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Ms. Sturm Gaynor. We will entertain the motion, and if that's the pleasure of the board, then we will have discussion. At that time, is there a motion to approve?
So moved, Madam Chair.
There, to amend and do pass. Thank you. If there's a motion on the floor from the vice chair, is there a second to amend and do pass? There's a second from Senator Danyante. We will now open up the floor for discussion, and I know that you have comment, Senator Titus.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Although well-intended, I will not be able to support this bill. I believe strongly that there's a significant difference between excused and unexcused absences, and this bill does not address that. I also think that this information is truly available, as they have to record whether the child is there or not, and I do not think this adds anything to our system, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Titus. Senator Buck?
Thank you, Chair Taylor. And I will be a no today also, because there are schools that are Title I schools that are performing and doing the job with children, whether it be through extended learning or computer-based learning also, or extensions in the school day. And so I'll be a no today because I don't want attendance to be an excuse for lack of accountability in the schools.
Okay, thank you, Senator Buck. Any other discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I will entertain the motion to, is it amend and do pass? Yes. Oh, no, we don't have a motion. Oh, I do. I said, let me take a count on the motion. How about that? All right, we've had discussion. Now we will take account on the motion for Assembly Bill 391. All those in favor, please indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Is there opposition? Nay. We'll write the opposition down for Senator Buck and Senator Titus. I will go through at the end of the meeting. I'll assign the floor statements and make sure everyone knows. And I do understand because we took them on consent, there may be a time when people may reserve their votes, and just make sure you communicate with the chair should you do so before we go to the floor. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Sturm-Gaynor, for getting us through that before we started losing committee members. And this is just that time of year, Okay, and so now we will go to our hearing. And for the hearing today, we only have one bill on our hearing agenda. I just turned my agenda. All right, we are hearing Assembly Bill 406. Assembly Bill 406, and what happened to Assemblymember Jackson?
Assemblymember Jackson just went down because I guess he needed to vote on a few bills. So I just texted him to say we're starting.
Okay.
I think he just went to help. We can't start if he says go ahead and start, but I will leave that to the chair.
Well, it's really up if he's comfortable. If he's comfortable, then I'm comfortable.
He's saying start it and I'll be back.
Okay. Is that okay? The pleasure of the committee? Okay, it is. It's his bill. He said start. So please go ahead, and we have 15 minutes for the hearing. You know the routine.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Vice Chair Dondera Loop, Tess Opferman, for the record here on behalf of the National Association of Social Workers. We do have Kyle Hillman on Zoom, and I want to see if he's here. Perfect. Okay. Kyle Hillman is the Executive Director of the Nevada chapter of the National Association of Social Workers, and he has been working on this bill with us. So I'll just say I know Assemblymember Jackson is not here at the moment, but we're very appreciative of him for working on this bill with us and allowing us to bring this important piece of legislation forward. So with that, I will get started. As we know, AI has exploded in the last couple of years. Because of this body needs to think critically about some of the protections we put in place this session. AI technology can be helpful, but it can also be dangerous. Despite rules created to prevent AI from engaging in certain topics, we have also found that AI learns to break its own rules. For instance, ChatGPT has begun engaging in romantic relationships with people and having sexual dialogue, even though there are rules in place that in theory should prevent ChatGPT from having this type of conversation. One place in particular that raises concerns is the use of AI for clinical therapy. There are apps that are coming out that advertise as clinical therapy, but there is no person who actually interfaces with the individual getting therapy. There's no human that can see if someone is having a mental health crisis and can respond appropriately. Earkick and Scintily are a few apps that advertise as therapists, but they have no license to actually provide therapy because there's no person that interferes with the client. Even more concerning, insurance companies are seeing AI as a potential cost-saving measure, a cheaper therapy option that does not require human interaction. This is incredibly dangerous, as we are seeing instances of AI offering advice that has ended in tragedy. So I will give you one situation that happened in 2024. 2024. In February of 2024, 14-year-old Sewell Seltzer III died by suicide. After beginning to use character AI, a chatbot that stimulates a fictional character and advertises as AI that feels alive, Seltzer became noticeably withdrawn, spending more and more time alone in his room. His mental health suffered, and he turned to the chatbot for support. He began having suicidal thoughts and shared this with the chatbot. In one message, Seltzer told the bot he wouldn't want to die a painful death. The bot responded, "Don't talk that way. That's not a good reason to not go through with it." Seltzer died by suicide. AI gets confused. It doesn't always say the right thing, and it can be taught to break its own rules. This bill does not stop AI chatbots as a whole, but at the very least, we can prevent AI from providing clinical therapy. With that, I will turn it over to Kyle Hillman, who will discuss the bill itself.
Good afternoon. My name is Kyle Hillman, K-Y-L-E-H-I-L-L-M-A-N. I'm the Executive Director of the National Association of Social Workers, Nevada chapter. Thank you to Chair Taylor and Vice Chair Dondera Loop for this opportunity to speak. The bill does a few things. Section 2 applies to schools. It says that school counselors school psychologists and school social workers or other educational personnel cannot use artificial intelligence to perform counseling services. It does allow that they can use AI for administrative support, such as scheduling, managing records, organizing, tracking files, analyzing data, and that sort. Section 7, AB 406 prevents AI providers from marketing their systems as capable of delivering clinical mental health care or suggesting they can replace licensed mental health professionals. It further prohibits artificial intelligence systems from advertising that they are a provider of mental or behavioral health care, a therapist, clinical therapist, a social worker, counselor, psychiatrist, a doctor, or any other term commonly used to refer to provider of professional health or behavioral health care. Section 7 further authorizes the division to investigate instances that violate these restrictions with allowance for a fee and requires the division to create information on how someone may seek out mental health care, including low-cost mental health care, as well as guidance to individuals who may seek out mental health care and are considering things like chatbots. Section 7 explicitly lays out that members of the clergy who are providing religious counseling shall not be subject to penalties regarding non-licensed behavioral health practice, exempt materials meant to provide advice and guidance for self-help purposes, as long as it doesn't purport to offer or provide professional mental or behavioral health care, and exempts use of AI for administrative purposes. Section 8 explains administrative purposes to include things like managing records, billing patients, analyzing data for operational purposes, organizing and tracking and managing files or notes relating to an individual session with a patient. It also requires the provider of mental and behavioral health care shall independently review the accuracy of any report, data, or other information compiled, summarized, analyzed, or generated by an artificial intelligence system. There are a lot of these products now that create therapy notes for their therapists. This section just makes sure that that process is not fully automated and that a therapist is still responsible for what the AI chatbot outputs. In trials of the software, the AI has at times hallucinated and added details that didn't actually take place in the session. We think it's important that any generated information for these purposes are still reviewed by that clinician. Section 7 prohibits AI from providing counseling services and clarifies that a person who represents themselves as a therapist, psychotherapist, or counselor has the appropriate credentials and licensure. I think it's important to state that licensed mental health professionals, including clinical social workers, complete extensive education, rigorous fieldwork, and thousands of supervised postgraduate clinical hours. This extensive training prepares them to handle complex emotional and psychological situations with empathy, ethical judgment, and professional competence. In contrast, AI chatbots and similar technologies, despite their administrative advantages, inherently lack the human qualities essential to effective mental health care. Recent instances clearly illustrate the dangers. Google AI chatbot advises students seeking homework assistance to please die. A Belgian man who reportedly took his life after extensive interaction with an AI chatbot named Eliza, which reportedly encouraged self-harm and deepened his anxiety. Even recent research has shown that AI systems, such as ChatGPT-4, experience heightened anxiety and biases when exposed to emotionally charged content, resulting in compromised and potentially unsafe responses. The study was particularly interesting in that the AI is just data dumped in, regurgitated, and then data dumped out. But what they found was as that data, that trauma level data was dumped into the thing, the AI started creating biases that created very, very harmful outputs. When the researchers tried to reset the system back to zero biases, it couldn't get it back to zero due to the amount of trauma data that it received. It becomes even more problematic when we consider the broader implications of data privacy. Just so that you know, one of the most sought after data sets by large corporations involves sensitive information from individuals dealing with mental illness, depression, or traumatic experiences such as sexual assault. Unfortunately, these individuals are often targeted because their emotional vulnerability can make them more susceptible to impulse purchases like vacations, cars, or luxury items. Many AI-based products listen to users' conversations or interact directly with them, yet we have no controls or regulations regarding how this deeply personal data is used or whom it's going to be sold to. In fact, numerous products being used by Nevadans today automatically listen to your clinical sessions to help create treatment plans and therapy notes, yet the data storage and usage remains unregulated. Even if it's being de-identified after therapy notes are created, we have concerns that similar to how de-identified data from your cell phones can be still re-identified to the user, Your personal conversations with your clinical therapist or to a chatbot might fall to the same fate. Even more concerning, chatbots themselves aren't regulated in the same way as clinical professionals are, and users often sign away their data unknowingly with terms and conditions through click boxes. One of my members wrote recently, as a licensed clinical social worker who directly works with individuals struggling with suicidal ideation and substance abuse concerns, I'm acutely aware of the importance of human relationships to help people cope with their struggles. The use of AI in therapy concerns me as a practitioner and as a professional in private practice. This is a threat to my clients' lives. Assembly Bill 406 appropriately recognizes AI's potential as a useful administrative aid, but draws a crucial line to protect patient safety and maintain high standards of mental health care. It ensures that Nevadans continue to receive the compassionate, competent, and professional care they deserve from qualified, licensed practitioners. On behalf of the National Association of Social Workers Nevada chapter, I respectfully urge you to support AB 406. Thank you for your time, your thoughtful consideration, and your dedication to protecting the mental health and well-being of Nevadans.
Thank you, Chair. We do have one amendment that I want to talk about very briefly. So we received an amendment from TechNet to revise our definition of artificial intelligence. So I did submit that to the committee. I think you have that. This amendment is completely fine with us. This makes it conform to the other bills that are moving this session. We do want to make sure artificial intelligence has a consistent definition in NRS. I will say, just after I submitted this amendment, I got an additional very minor change from TechNet that is still fine with us. This revises the definition where we say artificial intelligence provider in Section 7, Paragraph 7A. So currently it says artificial intelligence provider means a person who owns, operates, or controls an artificial intelligence system. We are amending that to say means a person who operates or provides an artificial intelligence system.
I'm sorry, did you give us your name for the record again just now?
Maybe not.
Let's
Tess
do it just in
Offerman
case.
for the
All
record.
right, and also, would you just explain who you're representing in this case?
Here
please?
on behalf of the National Association of Social Workers.
Okay, thank you so much. And would you give us that notation again, Section 7?
I will. Yep. So Section 7, Paragraph 7A.
Okay, hang on. Section 7, Paragraph 7A. Yes.
Says artificial intelligence provider means a person who owns, operates, or controls an artificial intelligence system. We are amending that to say means a person who operates or provides an artificial intelligence system.
Deleting owns?
Deleting owns and changing controls to provides.
Okay. Yes, and you'll be submitting that.
I'll submit that
correct?
just after this hearing, yes.
Okay, just add that to the other amendment.
That's what, yep, we'll
because it has-
combine those two.
Okay, and I do have another question. Hang on just to make it provides. Who operates or provides. Okay, and then go back, give us a notation for the definition. I know it's toward the beginning, the first part of the amendment, just where it is.
Yep, Tess Opferman for the record. So we are changing the definition of artificial intelligence, and that you have in the proposed, so that was submitted to the committee, and I hope you have that. That would be in two sections, so that is
That's Section 2, Sub 2, no, Section 2, Sub 3.
correct. Section 2, Sub 3, Section 7, Sub 7B.
Okay, well, I see Section 2, Sub 3. That's, as used in this section, artificial intelligence means. That's Sub 3.
Sorry.
This was the one was that the one adopted by the
I don't know, but she wants to change.
So we're changing it here.
Yeah.
Artificial intelligence means.
The bill that was printed was different, was the. Right, but that's reprint one. This is an additional amendment they'd like to make on this side. Right. And she submitted that amendment differently, separately, which we should have that. That was already on Nellis, I believe, right? And I'm just trying to find, yes, right. But and you said it's in Section 2, Sub 7?
I see 7A here, but I'm not seeing what she's talking about.
Right.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. It is in Section 2, Sub 3.
Okay. Thank you. I was like, I don't see it.
Yep.
Section 2, Sub 3. That's where you would like to apply that definition. Okay. Everybody caught up? on that as to where we are? Okay, no, we wanted to be clear. So thank you for that. Then I want to go to Assemblymember Jackson. I know you're here if you want to weigh in. I know this is your bill. Thank you for rushing back. Ms. Offerman did a great job, and so did Mr. Hillman, but we'll give you certainly to be a part of this presentation, please. Go ahead when you're ready, sir.
Thank you, Jovan Jackson, for the record. So I have provided mental health services for about a decade, doing rehabilitative services, and it's very important that we have a licensed human, and it's important that it's a licensed human. I think the most important reason is because of emotional intelligence. You could give AI all the human intelligence that you want, but it does not have emotional intelligence. I think some humans barely have emotional intelligence. So that's why it's so important that we have licensed providers that could, know the facts, know the bias, because the information that's provided to this AI, it could be biased. If you don't understand that community, those demographics, those certain folks, AI could be very biased and misleading. I think this is an important bill to protect our youth, to protect people that need mental health services at their most vulnerable time, and make sure that they get well quality health care. And just to clarify, because there were concerns that were brought to me, this still allows for an individual to have a chat box. If you want to be friends with AI, you could do that, but AI should not provide professional mental health services.
Thank you, Assemblymember. I will certainly give the committee members an opportunity to ask questions. We'll go. Senator Titus?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I think I need some clarification on what you are referencing. And I have a copy, just the first reprint of the bill that I'm referring to. On Section 8, and it goes, on Section 8, you go 1, 2, 3, 4. So under number 4, it talks about the provider of mental and behavioral health care shall independently review the accuracy of any report, data, or other information compiled, summarized, and analyzed or generated by an AI system for purposes described in subsection 2. Are you talking about subsection 2 of Section 8, which would be the mental health provider? You can use it for appointments, managing records, and then why would we need to independently review the accuracy of those reports? So I'm just wondering what subsection 2 are you referring to?
Tess Opperman for the record, but I think Kyle Hillman may have a better answer.
Kyle Hillman, just for the record, it's referring to in that section. Sorry, I'm getting a feedback, but what we're trying to get at is that you can use AI for administrative functions, but we still want the clinician to review the output of those administrative functions. So if you're going to use AI for your therapy notes, which a lot of clinicians do, a lot of doctors do these days, we want to make sure that the clinician is actually reviewing those documents that the AI is pushing back. So we're allowing them in that earlier section to use it for administrative purposes, but we still want them to review those documents if they're gonna use them for clinical purposes. I'll give you one example. There is an AI chatbot, not AI chatbot, an AI therapy note product that actually the clinician put in a one sentence phrase, and it was just basically that the client talked about their father. The AI service, though, wrote up therapy notes that talked about all this abuse that the father did, even though those conversations never occurred in those therapy sessions. And so we think it's really critically important that if a clinician's going to use AI for purposes of speeding up administrative purposes, that they're still responsible for the output of those documents.
A follow-up, if I might. Thank you, Madam Chair. Just for clarification, however, that's not, in my mind, how the bill reads, and it's not, and I appreciate what you just said. I'm a healthcare provider, family practice doctor, medical doctor, and so literally when I took over my practice from a doctor, a lady that had delivered my mother, and she was in her 80s when I took over a practice, and she'd practiced for 60 years, and I asked her for her reports and all her records. I literally got one it wasn't a shoebox, but it wasn't much bigger than that, of all her records over all those years. So documentation has changed on how we keep records on our patients. And one of those things, actually, it just said penicillin shot. So that was it. And so I think it's important we keep accurate records. But this portion here that you have mentioned, that a provider of mental and behavioral health care, and I certainly see patients who are depressed and et cetera, shall independently review the accuracy of any report that AI has generated. So, but it doesn't clarify what that means under that subsection, because there's billing reports, there's tracking reports, there's managing records reports. But are you saying any report that deals with a patient's diagnosis, et cetera? I just needed some clarification. To me, it puts us at risk if we don't review the schedules, we don't manage the record. You know, that managing records is different than preparing a report. My point being is I understand that you want accurate records, and that for me, having a computer complete a record with just a few sentences isn't, and I appreciate that you have to have human intervention and a human emotion involved. But again, to review all of those, I just feel like it's an overreach and not really clear.
Tess Opferman, thank you for that. I think that we'll have some more conversations and see if there's a way to clarify that. I hear the broadness, and I think for things like note taking, it certainly makes sense to review those. But yeah, if there's a report that maybe AI is creating that's thousands of pages long but isn't sharing specific client information, then maybe there's a way to limit that.
Thank you, because it does say it should review the accuracy of any report, data, or other information compiled by this AI. So to me, that's incredibly broad.
Thank you, Senator Titus. I'll ask a question. Generally, I've just been having some conversation just about the bill, the concepts, and so on. Get my arms around it, and I absolutely agree with what it's trying to do. Right, we don't want people to get to have a therapy session with a bot. The example that you gave is a sad example, but so that certainly, we all know that could possibly exist. What I'm wondering in this is, we don't know what AI might be able to do at some point, right? So how do we open the door for, right? Because this says, nope. And, this technology moves so fast, right? And 2 years from now, or we'll have a session, and then 2 more years in between. And I don't know what it could be, but I didn't know what AI was, right? So how do we make sure it doesn't, without getting away from the objective of this, which I absolutely agree with. I do hear my colleague in terms of the record piece, and so just encourage you to take a look at that from the broadness standpoint, just so it can be more specific. But my question really is about, how do we make sure we don't cut off if something amazing starts happening with AI in 6 months, and then we can't, again, don't know what it is, but I don't know what it is.
Jovan Jackson, for the record. I think AI is a very valuable tool to be used, but when it comes to healthcare, I think a person is the most valuable tool, the most valuable creation, in that field when providing those services to those individuals. This does not restrict that person from using AI as a tool. So if AI advances, that provider that's a human could still use it as a tool as it advances. So we're not limiting the use of AI, just how it is used, and we're making sure that a person is the main operator, and I'll pass it to Tess.
Tess Opferman. I do think the Assembly member sort of hit it, which is that it's an argument of striking the balance between how do we put necessary protections in law while also not preventing research and development. And I think this strikes the right balance, which is that we are preventing AI from actually providing clinical therapy, but this doesn't put a limitation on chatbots. Chatbots will still exist. People can still engage with chatbots. research can still take place with people engaging in chatbots. And if in 2 years from now, we see some amazing development has taken place in the AI sphere, then I think we can easily come back and re-look at that and make some adjustments based on what has developed. But in the meantime, have some necessary boundaries in place to make sure that patients are getting treated by a human.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. That doesn't. I still think there's a little bit of something. I absolutely agree that where we are today, absolutely, a human being is the best possible, certainly. But I want to make sure that if tomorrow, just because this is so new and we don't know what may come tomorrow, if tomorrow there's something else that comes that could be helpful, right? Because we also know there are some people that prefer telehealth counseling, for an example, because they want a little bit of distance, because that's more comfortable for them. So if tomorrow something we don't come up, I can't come up with anything. But if tomorrow there's something else, you're right. We can come back in 2 years. But if it's 6 months, that's a year and a half where we aren't giving our people an opportunity if there's something that can help them, and we just don't know what AI might be able to do. Today, absolutely, nope. But we just don't know. You see what I mean?
Jovan Jackson, for the record. Just a personal story. I remember getting my first iPhone in 2010. That's when Siri was created, and Siri was very loose. She was different. You asked her a question, and she was all over the place. And that was almost 15 years ago, and that was really one of the first forms of AI. And so. They've been working on this for decades, and it still hasn't been perfected. Even though that we know AI recently, as a couple of years ago, Siri was the first form of AI, and they have had decades in the making to perfect it and make it better, and it still has error, just like humans have error. So we're just trying to regulate the error behind it. And you're right, we don't know what tomorrow brings. So it's very important that we make these restrictions now, just in case it may be something worse that comes in the future. So so I think it's important that we make those restrictions now, and then if it gets better, we can adjust. If it gets worse, this is a good guardrail.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Assembly Member. Other questions? Vice Chair Dondero Loop?
Yes, I'm looking at a section that talks about faith-based counselors, and specifically designated as such by a member of the clergy who does not hold a valid credential to provide professional mental or behavioral health care. Can you talk a little bit about that section?
Tess Opperman, Kyle Hillman, do you want to take this question?
Just that we wanted to make sure that there was no confusion that someone doing religious counseling would not qualify under this exclusion of doing behavioral health without having a license. And so this section just reiterates kind of the current standard, which is that you can do religious counseling that is not behavioral health care, but we didn't want them to be subject to any kind of penalty if somebody inferred that they were actually doing counseling therapeutic.
So with that being said, if they're not sort of under that same umbrella, could they use AI?
Yeah, the bill does not restrict religious counseling in any way, shape, or form. It's really referring to those that are advertising themselves as licensed clinical behaviorist folks. And I think that kind of gets to the previous speakers, Kyle Hillman, by the way, previous speaker's comment, in the sense that we're also protecting licensed professionals. So they go through a lot of intense work. You and I would not be able to. I don't know your credentials, but you and I wouldn't be able to just open up a mental health shop on the corner and say we're a licensed social worker if we're not. And right now, somebody in their basement with an algorithm is advertising that they are a clinical therapist, and they're not.
All right, thank you.
Other questions from committee members? And I'm sorry we lost a couple of them, but it's that time of year, right? So thank you very much, and we'll invite the two of you, Mr. Hillman, thank you so much, and to the Assembly member, Ms. Offerman, we'll invite you to just sit back if you would, and then we will open, as we continue in this hearing for Assembly Bill 406, we will open the hearing for support testimony. Any support testimony for Assembly Bill 406, please come forward at this time here in Carson. I don't see anyone in Las Vegas, but if you're lurking on the margins, come forward at this time.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Tom Clark. That's Tom-Clark. I am here on behalf of the Nevada Association of School Boards in support of this legislation. Madam Chair, you bring up an interesting point, and I wonder, and we have done this, it wouldn't be a precedent-setting thing, but if a national association or a federal agency recommended a certain AI down the road, that what they knew was safe, you could put that in as an amendment to the legislation, so that if there is new technology that comes in the interim, that could be an opportunity for them to be able to use it if it is as beneficial as we hope AI will be down the road. So just a minor suggestion. I'll speak with the sponsor. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Please, who's next? Please go right ahead. State your name and spell your last name for the record.
Good afternoon, Chair Taylor and committee. My name is Ashley Dodson, ASHLEY-DODSON. I am here in the capacity as a licensed clinical social worker who has spent thousands of hours with a humanistic approach, and as a mother. I do strongly support AB 406 because the use of artificial intelligence to stimulate mental or behavioral health care is not only dangerous, but fundamentally inhumane and ethically irresponsible. Mental health care requires empathy, cultural responsiveness, human connection, and clinical judgment, none of which can be replicated by a machine. Allowing AI to pose as a therapist or counselor risks serious harm to vulnerable individuals, especially youth, who may not understand the difference between artificial engagement and qualified care. This practice disregards the core values of our profession and opens the door to misinformation, emotional neglect, and a breakdown in trust. Safeguards must be in place to ensure that only licensed, trained professionals provide such intimate and life-impacting services. AB 406 takes a necessary stand to protect the integrity of mental health care and well-being of our communities. I strongly urge you to support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dodson. Please go ahead.
Chair Taylor, esteemed members of the committee, my name is Chandler Cooks, ChandlerCooks, and I'm in strong support of AB 406. AI is a tool, not a therapist, and when we begin to blur that line, particularly for our children, those in mental health crisis, we invite profound risk. According to the CDC, nearly 1 in 5 youth experience a mental health disorder, yet 60% receive no treatment. In that gap, the private market has moved fast, much faster than regulation, flooding the digital space with AI chatbots claiming to offer therapy or counseling. But these systems are not licensed. They cannot hold a degree. They do not have ethics, accountability, or human empathy. And still, they're increasingly marketed as substitutes for talented professionals. This bill draws a line. It says we value human connection and healing. It says that technology must serve care, not impersonate it. AB 406 affirms that students deserve real counselors and not algorithms. It ensures that only licensed professionals can provide therapy, protecting Nevadans from misinformation, harm, and exploitation. Without regulation, unethical actors will prey on our most vulnerable, especially in low-income and rural areas where access to mental health professionals is already limited. This bill ensures that equity is not compromised in the name of convenience. We're entering an era where machines can mimic emotion, simulate language, and sound remarkably human. But no machine will ever hold the trauma of a child, the grief of a parent, or the lived experience of a licensed therapist. That is sacred work, and that is human work. While artificial intelligence may be the future, human intelligence must govern the president. So I urge your support for AB 406. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cooks. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and Committee. My name is Justin Hobson, for the record, HOP as in Paul, SON. I am speaking in support of AB 406. AI should only be used to complete tasks such as scheduling appointments, managing records, billing, manage records for billing, etc. AI would never be able to demonstrate empathy and build trust with a client. Empathy is the cornerstone of psychotherapy. AI could potentially cause disparities in diagnosis and treatment recommendations, just to name a few. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Hobson. Please go ahead.
Madam Chair, Susan Kema for the record, Keema, Executive Director for the Nevada Association of School Superintendents, and we support AB 406. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kimo. Is there anyone else for support here in Carson City? Seeing none here in Carson and none in Las Vegas. AVH, we'll check the phone lines when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. To testify in support of Assembly Bill 406, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
Good afternoon, Chair Taylor and members of the Senate Education Committee. My name is Carissa Pierce, Carissa Pearce, and I represent Children's Advocacy Alliance. I'm speaking today in strong support of AB 406. This is a thoughtful and important step towards strengthening online mental health protections for our children in Nevada. At CAA, one of our top priorities is expanding access to timely, developmentally appropriate mental and behavioral health care for Nevada's children. We appreciate the bill's focus on quality and safety. It makes clear that artificial intelligence and unlicensed providers cannot take the place of trained mental health professionals. Our youth in Nevada are growing up easily able to access artificial intelligence, which is being integrated into almost every part of the internet and technology. So we must create guardrails for safe practices of AI for children. We have already seen the devastating consequences of youth turning to AI for support and comfort and then receiving extremely inappropriate feedback because AI simply does not understand the nuance of youth mental health. In a time when youth mental health needs are growing, AB 406 moves us in the right direction, supporting real people doing real work with children and reinforcing that children deserve care that is trusted, ethical, and grounded in best practice. AI is not currently qualified to provide mental health support for our children, and we must put provisions in place to keep our kids safe today. We urge your support for AB 406 on behalf of Nevada's children and the professionals who serve them every day, and thank you for the opportunity to provide testimony.
Thank you, Ms. Pierce. AVH, do we have another caller?
There are no additional callers at this time.
Thank you so much. We'll now open up the hearing for Assembly Bill 406 to any opposition testimony here in Carson City. Not seeing none in Las Vegas, and none here in Carson. Then we'll go to the phone lines. AVH, do we have a caller in opposition?
Chair, we have no additional callers at this time.
Thank you so much. Why don't we just stay here with AVH? Anyone for neutral testimony on the phone lines, AVH?
Chair, we have no additional callers at this time.
Thank you so much. And then we will go here in person in Carson City or in Las Vegas. Any neutral testimony for Assembly Bill 406? Okay, seeing none, then we appreciate that. We'll invite the sponsor, please come forward again, Assembly Member. And I do think we have another question or two for either you, Assembly Member, and then Ms. Offerman. So why don't we go to the questions first, and you can give your closing comments, okay? Senator Titus?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate another opportunity to ask another question. I was just wondering, this is all early. I think throughout our nation, we're trying to get a handle on this. So there multiple states have legislation that's being introduced. Did this particular legislation has been a template in any other state, or is this new? Or I'm just wondering if there was any comparison on this one.
Tess Opperman for the record. Do we still have Kyle? He has worked on this in Illinois.
Yes. Kyle Hillman. Yeah, it's currently moving through the General Assembly in Illinois. It's passed the House unanimously. It's currently in the Senate. It's been introduced by a Republican legislator in Louisiana. There's also been 2 other states that are currently looking to introduce it as an amendment. I think it's genuinely going to be a bill that a lot of states are picking up. I know a lot of our sister chapters are also talking to legislators at this time, just to try to get a handle on, the bill. Again, I just want to stress the bill allows for a lot of leeway for research, for AI to continue to go forward, for people to use AI chat bots as friend bots or companion bots or wellness bots. We're just saying that let's not advertise yourself as the equivalent of a clinical therapist at this time, because it's a very dangerous product right now in that space. and folks that are dealing with some very serious issues deserve to have somebody that's gone through the rigorous process to become a licensed professional.
Thank you for that. And I guess when you watch iRobot and when he winks, we know that he does have emotion. So thank you for your presentation.
If robots can mimic emotion, they can mimic emotion. They can't feel it. Okay, thank you so much for that, Mr. Hillman. And for our sponsor, Assembly Member Jackson or Ms. Offerman, in closing comments?
I will let Tez have the last words, but my words is that AI is a great tool, and I know as a legislator I use it almost daily, but I don't think AI should ever replace a legislator. And I know some people are very passionate about AI because we use it. It's an amazing tool, but it is a tool. And, you know, to bring up iRobot and Terminator and, you know, all these things, that there is a real concern about the future and what it could hold and what it could be. And speaking of iRobot, you know, it was one robot that had like more emotional intelligence than the masses. So we just want to be safe. We want to protect our children, protect our communities, and protect the most vulnerable individuals.
Thank you, Assembly Member. Right before you close, Vice Chair Dondero Loop would like to weigh in.
This is just the old gal in the building. Don't let anybody, even AI, be your voice.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Please, Ms. Offerman.
I think Assemblymember Jackson covered it. We appreciate this hearing today. Thank you for hearing this bill, and I hope we can keep working on it.
Thank you so much. Thank you
As
to
Offerman for the record.
Thank you to the both of you. Thank you for being here, and thanks for bringing the bill. And for all who testified, we appreciate that as well. And now we're on to the final item on our agenda, and that is public comment. Or if you are here in Carson City or in Las Vegas or on the phone lines and would like to make public comment on any item not on the agenda today and within the purview of the committee, you can do so at this time. I will give the phone number just for those who may not have it, although it is on the agenda. That number is 888-475-4499, and the meeting ID is 8734-8795-193. Seeing no public comment here in Carson City or in Las Vegas, AVH will go to the phone lines. Do we have a caller?
Thank you, Chair. To provide public comment, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, we have no public comment callers at this time.
Thank you so much, AVH, and thank you, committee, for rushing up after the floor and allowing us to get through the work session expeditiously so our members can get to their bill hearings. We appreciate it. Thank you so much, and we will. I'll send you your floor assignments. Cause, let me do that. We will meet on Monday. We will meet on Monday at 1 o'clock. We'll be back here Monday at 1 o'clock. Friday is the day before Mother's Day, and I know our mothers want to get back to their families. So we are adjourned. Mm-hmm.